Hello, everybody. Tim here with another movie review, this time for Coco. This is the new film from Disney and Pixar Animation Studios, and I am a huge Pixar fan. I think a lot of people really do love Pixar. They've put out a ton of great material. That doesn't mean that they're hits every time. There's actually quite a few Pixar movies I'm not a big fan of. I'm not a big fan of any of the Cars movies, really. I'm not a big fan of Brave. Not a big fan of The Good Dinosaur. So there have been movies that they've put out that I don't really enjoy. That being said, most of the time I'm into it. Monsters Inc. is one of my favorite movies of all time, if not my favorite movie of all time. The Toy Story franchise, Finding Nemo, The Incredibles, Wall-E, Ratatouille, which is one of the best animated movies ever made. Up, which again, I'm not a huge fan of, but it definitely resonated with a lot of people. So they've put out a lot of movies and a lot of really good movies. I don't think any of their movies are straight up bad, but they have put out a couple that I think are okay. So what's up with Coco? Is this going to be a Cars 3, a Good Dinosaur, or is this going to be an Incredibles, a Ratatouille? What is this going to be? I'm so freaking happy to say this is another Ratatouille. I'm not even joking, guys. This is one of the best movies of the year. Not just one of the best animated movies, and not just actually one of the best movies of the year. I think this is one of Pixar's best movies ever made. That's a bold statement, but it's one that I believe is true. And a lot of people going into this movie were comparing it to The Book of Life, this movie that came out a couple years ago. Very similar situations, revolving around the Day of the Dead. But they are very different movies. So if you had that concern going into it, I highly suggest you go see Coco, give it a chance. It's an absolutely incredible film. Everywhere from the direction, to the art direction, to the animation, to the voice acting, to the story, to the screenplay, everything just all around the board here is perfect. And when the movie was going on, I see so many movies, guys. You know this, because I review so many of them for you. But every time I'm watching a movie, there's always one part that comes up where it happens and I'm like, oh, that's kind of, I'm not sure how I feel about that. I really wanted to give this a 5 out of 5, but I don't know how I feel about this part. And that's the thing, is I go into every movie starting at a 5 out of 5, and then it just notches down. This one never notched down for me. From the minute that Disney logo started up and that Pixar logo came across to the minute the credits ended, I was absolutely in love with Coco. Now, does it get a bit predictable at times? Sure. There were a couple things that I called out way ahead of time, but my fiance Maggie, who I saw it with, she says that she didn't see those things coming. I'm sure she would have had I not said "Ooh, I think this is gonna happen," but nonetheless, it's not a detriment to the film. The film's absolutely fantastic. Again, I haven't really talked about the story here, but the story is about this young boy Miguel, and his family is they're a group of people who make shoes for their town. They're shoemakers, and they also hate music. That's their thing, is that they have been told not to listen or play or anything with music due to something that happened in their family's past. And Miguel loves music and he wants to be a musician. And through happenstance, he gets into the realm of the people who have passed away. I'm not sure exactly what they call it in the film, but the land of the dead, I believe, is something. But so he ends up in the land of the dead with some of his passed away family members. And I don't want to say too much more, only because I didn't know too much more. I saw the first teaser trailer for this movie, and that was about it. I had seen the other trailer, but maybe like once a couple months ago, and so nothing really like stood out to me from that trailer, which honestly is a reason why I thought I wasn't going to be in love with Coco. I knew I was going to enjoy it, I think, because it's a Pixar film and I tend to enjoy their original properties, but it wasn't none of the marketing did anything for me, and I'm so happy that I loved this movie. And something Maggie said after the movie to me was that, I don't know how kids are going to handle this because there's not a lot of action in the movie. But I don't think that's a bad thing. I think it reminded me a lot of Inside Out, another original property from Pixar that I love. Now, there's a couple things in Inside Out that I didn't think that made it like a perfect movie. There were a couple things that just kind of notched it down just a little bit for me. Unlike this movie where I thought everything was absolutely outstanding, but Inside Out, there wasn't a lot of action. There were definitely some exciting sequences, and there are here, but I think the reason this movie succeeds so much without big action scenes or fart jokes or anything like in these other stupid animated movies that are coming out, I think that it succeeds because you love the characters. From minute one, you're invested in Miguel and his family. And all of the other characters that come along with it, including the dog Dante, including his friend that he meets in the land of the dead to help him on his journey, Hector, like all these characters, you really, really get to know them and love them and care about them. To the point where when the credits started, I had goosebumps. I was absolutely astounded by it. Now, guys, obviously I've been rambling on for a little bit. There's not been a lot of conciseness to this review, but I just want to talk about my feelings. I saw the movie 2 hours ago, so this is very fresh for me. I am going to be seeing this movie again. I highly recommend you guys check it out. And yeah, that's all I gotta say about Coco. Definitely go and see it, guys. Bring the whole family. This is definitely a movie that you can bring everybody to, and everyone will get something out of it. Whether you're 6 years old or you're 90 years old, you will get something out of Coco. It's just that freaking good. Okay, guys. Anyway, thanks as always for listening. If you liked this review, hit that like button, hit subscribe. That helps me out a great deal, and it helps you stay up to date with all of my videos where I ramble about movies with no script, no nothing. So if you guys liked it, do that so you can stay up to date with it. Anyway, guys, thanks as always for listening, and until next time, have a good one.